Okay, so I told you guys that I was going to give you a list of other news sources that you should follow and should be getting your news from, okay? In no particular order. Also, none of these publications, even that I'm saying that are good for a lot of news, are perfect. So I don't need anybody coming in here and being like, well, actually, ProPublica. None of them are perfect. But these sources are a lot better than any of the trash that you're going to find in corporate media. ProPublica. ProPublica does a lot of very, very good investigative reporting. The Lever. The Lever is a great outlet for wanting to find out what's really going on that corporate media doesn't report on because their advertisers are all corporations. So if you want to understand what's going on with money in politics, the things that they don't tell you about corporations polluting and poisoning your shit and paying people off and paying our politicians off, The Lever is a great outlet that exposes all that shit that places like Politico and New York Times aren't going to talk about because those are their advertisers. The Electronic Intifada, if you're not following the Electronic Intifada, I don't know what you're doing. Like, you need to follow them. Al Jazeera, More Perfect Union, Ken Klippenstein's Substack is amazing. Like, Ken Klippenstein is doing exactly what journalists should be doing that don't do their work because they're constantly cozying up to power. In fact, an amazing thing is you'll often see people who are so-called journalists or media watchdogs getting mad at Ken Klippenstein for reporting shit on the Democrats. Think about that. The people that are supposed to be holding power to account are mad at him for holding power to account. Dropsite News, excellent. It's a new place. It's Ryan Grimm. He used to work for The Intercept. The Intercept is another one of those outlets that does some good work but also like leaves a lot of shit out. For like politics, like YouTube shows like Kyle Kulinski's show is great. Breaking Points, The Majority Report, Gray Zone, Middle East Eye, The Humanist Report. Breaking Points is Crystal Ball and Saagar Enjeti, or Sagar as Boomer Mar called him. It's their outlet, and Saagar is a right-winger, but that should not dissuade you at all because it's actually really important to hear their perspective. Not because we give it equal weight, but because it's important to know what they're thinking. I watch so much right-wing media and read so much right-wing media so you don't have to. And it's not just unchallenged right-wing propaganda because Crystal is right there always pushing back. Hassan Piker, Bad Empanada is a great creator. Useful Idiots and Katie Halper's show, Francesca Fiorentini. Abby Martin at Empire Files. Rania Khalek, who is a Lebanese journalist who runs Breakthrough News. Sabi Sap's podcast and Pastor Benjamin Dixon are two Black creators that you definitely should be following. There are a lot of creators that are also talking about the news in a way that isn't clouded by Zionist propaganda. And that is a really, really important thing to distinguish. Because if you're listening to somebody that's pro-Israel, you're not getting the news. You're just not. Because there's literally no way to support the Israeli regime and do propaganda for them and also be an honest, accurate news teller or influencer, fucking reporter, news and information teller, whatever. There is no way. Those things do not exist at the same time. And the only other caveat I'm going to give is it doesn't mean that you can't read mainstream media ever if you see an article from like the Associated Press. But when you are reading any Western media, first of all, don't pay for it. Like, seriously, do not pay for the New York Times or any of those other propaganda sources. Because even though they will sometimes do accurate reporting, so much of their reporting is skewed and framed in a way that actually hides information from you that is vital for you to have and context for you to have. Yes, please stop. Do not pay for the Washington Post. Don't pay for the LA Times. Don't pay for New York Times. Like, just don't pay for any of these. Because again, all of their shit is framed from the Zionist perspective. All of it is framed from the Western propaganda perspective. You need to understand that as you're reading these things. And it's so important when you do occasionally even read maybe an accurate report from the Associated Press that you look at it through that lens of knowing that everything is skewed and framed from the perspective of the West and the Israeli regime. Just look at the way that they covered the Bibas family and those kids versus the way that they cover and or oftentimes don't cover all the slaughter of the Palestinian children in Gaza. So that's my non-exhaustive list. Feel free to drop any in the comments that I maybe forgot. And remember that this can also change. People sell out. Just keep your eyes open. Oh, and a bonus one. I'm giving you guys a bonus one, okay? The account Z Squirrel on Twitter. Yes, Squirrel. I don't know who is behind Squirrel, but I don't care. This is my favorite account on Twitter. Literally my favorite account. I cannot tell you how much I have learned from this anonymous squirrel, okay? How many acorns I've picked up from that. News, information, learning about history, it is not always found in the places that you think, friends. If you are not following Squirrel on all the places you can follow them, you are missing out. You're welcome.